What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, let's get back to this Jarrell Miller, Anthony Joshua talks. According to World Boxing News, and this came out yesterday, Anthony Joshua versus Jarrell Big Baby Miller talks have not gone on. So taking this guy at his word, just taking him at his word, Anthony Joshua is not about to fight Jarrell Big Baby Miller next. I never believed it. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe that they are even serious about that until they walk through the ring. And I'll tell you why in just 1 second. But before I do that, I want to thank you subscribers for tuning into the channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. If you're not a trollish type of person. And if you do subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we release our videos and when we do our live streams. Live streams we typically do around 10:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. So let me tell you what the guy said. And then, well, before I do that, look, I'm almost willing to put money that Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua are going to fight next. That's the fight that Anthony Joshua said that everybody watching, most people watching the situation have known is going to happen next for at least 6 months now. I personally believed it was going to happen ever since the WBC ordered Dillian Whyte and Luis Ortiz to fight, and Dillian Whyte didn't take that fight. For me, that meant that Dillian Whyte was not going to fight Deontay Wilder. And since Dillian Whyte was not going to fight Deontay Wilder, that it just means that they needed to get that rematch out. They need to get that rematch out of the way soon, because there's really not that many more people for Anthony Joshua to fight. And I know that's kind of hard for some people to believe, that there's not that many people left for him to fight. There's really not. Anthony Joshua has not had he's not had a significant fight since Vladimir Klitschko. I don't think, maybe you could argue that fighting Joseph Parker for a unification fight was a big fight. And I took that fight, so with the exception of that, but I don't think that that's a very, very big fight. I definitely don't think Carlos Takam was, and I definitely don't believe that Alexander Povetkin is. From what I can see, from the outside looking, from the United States looking over there, Dillian Whyte, as far as domestic fights go, Dillian Whyte, outside of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, Dillian Whyte is the guy that would bring the most intrigue to a fight with Anthony Joshua. And Eddie Hearn mentioned, and I always bring this up, 5 days after he fought Vladimir Klitschko in, I think that was late May of 2017, that the fight that Anthony Joshua really, really, really wants was the rematch with Dillian Whyte. So there's been a lot of talk, though, about him fighting Jarrell Big Baby Miller. There was a tweet that came out, or something that I heard, because it's really hard for me to actually listen to Eddie Hearn speak these days. So I'm going to just say that this is the title of, this was discussed in a video where somebody said, look, that Eddie Hearn said, now this is hearsay, Eddie Hearn said that Dillian Whyte don't be surprised that Dillian Whyte happens in June in New York. And that Dillian Whyte is the only one out of Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Dillian Whyte that are being realistic with the money that they're asking, right? Which is obvious. Why would he not be? By realistic, if you mean he's going to take whatever he can get for that fight, a few million, of course, yeah, of course, Jarrell Big Baby Miller is going to do that because Jarrell Big Baby Miller is the second-tier heavyweight, right? I'm quite sure that Luis Ortiz would take. And he's a top-tier heavyweight. Luis Ortiz would take what you offered him to fight him. I'm quite sure that Dominic Breazeale would, in a rematch, would be more than happy to take it, right? It's funny, though, we're not talking about a rematch with Dominic Breazeale, though they want a rematch with Dillian Whyte. But Jarrell Big Baby's promoter said they hadn't heard anything about it. And let me go through what he says. I saw some reports about Joshua versus Miller being possible for the zone in June, but I haven't communicated with Eddie about this possibility. I have nothing to comment on the moment. Eddie and I have a great working relationship. We've discussed this possibility for some time now. I believe the fight will happen at the right time. Jarrell is America's best heavyweight and I believe the best in the world. So while it may be an interesting fight in the UK, I don't know the interest for it in world boxing terms. Miller versus Joshua is one of the biggest fights in boxing. I'm confident that it'll happen at the right time. If it's Joshua's next fight, I don't know. It's up to him. No dates have been discussed at the moment. We are moving forward with progressing Jarrell's career on his path to a world title. We want to make history and join the ranks of Brooklyn heavyweight greats Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe. There have not been any real discussions, so there's not a deadline that I am aware of. All right. I do have to acknowledge you got to take that with a grain of salt, okay? But I just think that the whole discussion about Jarrell Big Baby Miller is misdirection, and if anything, an attempt to negotiate with Dillian Whyte and get Dillian Whyte's asking price down to something that Anthony Joshua finds acceptable. Now we know that Anthony Joshua is big on fighters paying financial homage to him and being realistic in what they're asking for, and that there's no boxer in the world that deserves 60-40 with him or 50-50 with him. And he just seems to be a guy that is very, very much stuck on making sure that he makes the most money that he can possibly make in the fight. AJ the businessman. Now, hey, I'm the kind of guy too. I like to make as much money as I possibly can as well. The only issue that I have about that is that I think he's just putting the cart before the horse a little bit. Anthony, from what I can see, and I've said this many times, Anthony Joshua is obviously a star in the UK. But this global stardom that people talk about, I just don't believe is there. I don't believe he definitely doesn't have the name recognition in the biggest financial boxing market in the world, which is the United States. And that's something that Bob Arum hinted towards. Frank Warren, when he was talking about the fight with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the rematch that they're discussing, that it's obvious that he actually said that a fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury would be bigger in the United States than a fight in the UK between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury because of the $75 to $100 pay-per-view. And hey, man, that's just what it is, man. We live in a world where money talks, BS walks. And if you paying, and your value is based on how much money you're paying. You got one fan that pays $100 is worth 4 fans that pay $25. And that's just mathematics. I mean, I know that there's a lot of guys out there who are big supporters of Anthony Joshua that don't want to hear that, but it's the case. And Anthony Joshua right now has just got himself in a situation where, one, all of the fighters everybody that he's interested in to see fight, that people are interested in seeing him fight, want to get paid to do it. They want to get their worth as well. It's not a situation where nobody wants to see Deontay Wilder fight. Nobody wants to see Tyson Fury fight. It's not an issue. These guys they're not Dukakis, right? They're not even Alexander Povetkin. And they also have an option to make more money without him. Right. But anyway, I would like to see that this stuff would come around where, they could work out the money and all that good stuff. But I just think that Anthony Joshua was just really, really, he's cheap. It's either he's cheap or Eddie Hearn is cheap or they're both cheap. But at the end of the day, though, relative to Jarrell Big Baby Miller, this is going to I'm still betting this is going to be that this is going to be a fight with Dillian Whyte. And all this conversation going on is just a way to try to get Dillian Whyte to take his money down. Right, what he's asking down. And now Dillian Whyte is trying to be smart about it, very smart about it, by coming over to the United States, even having it rumored that he's talking about signing with the PBC. And they got you guys out there in the UK, you cannot believe it if you want to, but man, the PBC's got a lot of money. They've got a very big, very lucrative television deal over here with Fox. They've got a lucrative television deal with Showtime. They're putting on pay-per-view events. You have three of the four top heavyweights in the world are fighting out of the United States, right? And one of the guys are from the UK who are fighting out of the United States, which is Tyson Fury. So Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Dillian Whyte. But I believe Dillian Whyte is going to wind up getting offered a lot of money not to embarrass Matchroom now. So anyway, it is what it is, man. But I don't believe this. I don't believe this Jarrell Big Baby Miller nonsense for a minute. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and that'll be what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.